what's up, everybody? My name is Michael, aka Rickshaw, and welcome to Worship and Tribute Nerd. Today we're going to talk about some gaming. We got Ryah. What's your last name?
Mason.
I knew that.
AKA Filthee.
Filthee.
Yeah, that's what I go by online.
Okay, and the name of your... tell everybody.
Filthee Gaming. You can check me out at facebook.com/filthy.
Okay, and just tell me a little bit about what you do.
So I'm a streamer. So what given that entails, if you don't know what streaming is, basically I live stream games that I play. In those live streams, a lot of people play based on how good they are or things like that, but I try to give a little bit of a helping hand and answer questions to people that ask questions, and I play for fun. Sometimes I play a little bit competitive, but mostly I stream because I want to influence everybody to be better than they are, whether or not that's at a video game or as a human being. But I only started in like late February, beginning of April.
Right.
Or beginning of March, sorry. Man, I got my months mixed up. Oh, can't do that very well, can I? Let's skip the whole month.
So how's it going so far with that?
So I feel like I've done pretty good. So a lot of people that stream usually start out really slow and they don't know how to build up an audience. And for a while I looked and tried to figure out the best way to build an audience and to build a bunch of people in a following. And a lot of the guys that I see that are still really small, they've been doing it for just as long as I have. They just haven't figured it out. But I'm at 1,150 followers. It's been pretty good so far. We have a couple really dedicated followers that show up every time I stream. And it's been pretty good. Mostly been streaming one game, but there is a little bit of variance in there. Sometimes we do some different stuff.
So what game?
I stream Apex Legends right now. A lot of people were on that Fortnite train, and now we're on the Apex Legends train. And I'm a first-person shooter kind of guy mostly. I do play some MMOs and things like that, but I very much enjoy first-person shooters. I have for years.
Yeah. I've never been the first-person shooter type of guy.
Yeah?
I think the only game that I ever was into first-person shooters, GoldenEye.
Oh God, GoldenEye! I remember this. You know, there's been a request to re-release GoldenEye, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was information saying that Nintendo may be able to re-release GoldenEye at some point, so that could be really fun.
That would be awesome.
I just hope they release it on something else besides, because the Switch controller is really hard to use.
Right.
But what games do you like to play?
I'm the type of person that I stay away from games a lot, and then I wait for that one game that's just gonna be a one player adventure action game, you know what I mean? And then I just grind through it for months, and then by the end of that, I'm usually done with gaming.
Like again. Skyrim, Fallout, things like that.
I mean, like Dark Souls. Sakura. Shadows Die Twice or whatever.
So you're gonna laugh at me. So I'm usually a player versus player type gamer. I've never played Dark Souls.
I mean, it's not for everyone.
Well, there was a bet going on the stream that if I did play Dark Souls, they were gonna bet on how long I would last.
Dude, it's it's the type of game where you should just get used to dying.
Yeah.
Get all your frustrations out. You know what I mean? Just beat the shit out of a punching bag for a little while before you even start.
Because it makes you mad.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's the type. It's it's stakes. You know what I mean? The thing is about a lot of modern day video games is they hold your hand. They walk you through it. When you die, they're like, it's okay, you died. We'll start you right back where you left off. So
speaking of holding your hand, last Tuesday, so 1 week ago today. Well, actually, it was Monday night, Tuesday. WoW Classic re-released, and World of Warcraft became a hold your hand game. And I started playing WoW Classic again. I've streamed it once. But a lot of people don't enjoy it because it's very slow. It is not hold your hand. And it is die over and over and over again to learn things. And I'm really happy that you brought that up, because that is the one biggest problem that we have in a lot of games today is they want to make games easy for people to play. And I get that. But they're not giving us the aspect of games are not meant to be easy to play. Right. They're meant to be hard, and they're meant to learn, and you learn how things work. So I feel you on the Dark Souls feature there.
So my buddy Toby from Gainesville, he has a podcast.
Right.
Shout out Toby. But anyways, one of his podcasts is called Secret Levels, and it's retro gaming.
Right.
And we also had the same talk, because when gaming first started, really, you know, like first started for the mainstream audience, it was like Nintendo and like Super Nintendo.
Was that your first console?
Nintendo was, yeah.
Yeah, regular Nintendo.
Yeah, so...
I hated the dog and duck hunt.
but when we got those as kids, like it was some of those games were unreal to ever even get through the first part of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes you didn't even know what to do. Like,
no,
you were like,
the original Final Fantasy on Nintendo, I had it.
Yeah.
Like when Final Fantasy was owned by Nintendo, do you know how hard it was to figure out what, like, it's like, oh, here's what your end goal is. But you're like, how do I get to my end goal?
Right.
So you literally had to walk around in the dark basically until you found something you were supposed to find. I feel like we should go back to that. Like, that's how it should be.
Exactly. Like, I remember playing, this is a good example of like just gaming in general. Like, I remember playing the first Metal Gear.
Oh.
That was for regular Nintendo.
Right.
And it's like you start off, they don't really tell you anything.
No.
And you're sneaking around this base, and then you get captured, and then they put you in a jail cell. And then you're like, I don't know what to do.
I don't know what I'm supposed
in a
to do.
freaking jail cell now. So this is a game that I think I owned it, and like for a year I didn't even know how to get out of that damn jail cell. And then one day I broke open the ketchup packet that was in my inventory, and he faked his death or something. And and I was like, what the fuck is, like, how am I supposed to know this shit? I'm like a 6-year-old kid. Like, what the hell?
No, but all those games were like that. I remember them very vividly. And if you remember 2 games that were on Super Nintendo, Aladdin and Lion King. Those were the most... They're re-releasing them, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
And guess what? I have beat
both
the
of them.
Lion King.
Yes.
I haven't beat... I didn't play Aladdin.
Okay, I played Aladdin. I will tell you right now. Anyone that's thinking about trying to play these games, the first level to get out of the frickin' Cave of Wonders when you're flying with the lava is the worst level in the game. If you can beat that, you can beat the game. I promise. I've always had an affinity for games. My mom. So I originally my grandmother bought me the Nintendo, and I played that growing up. And then my mom bought me a Super Nintendo, and the first game she bought me, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more later, was Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. And she was mad because we were supposed to leave to go to my grandmother's at 2:00 that afternoon. I remember this very vividly because my mom didn't stop yelling at me, and I beat it before we left. And she was like, how? So my uncle decided, because he used to play games with me all the time.
Right.
He said he was going to try to beat it, and it took him 3 months.
Dude, that game is infamous.
I love it. It's so
all
good.
The shit they throw at you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Like, everyone's like, how did you beat the Rancor? I'm like, you just get Han Solo and the thermal detonators forever. You just have to collect them. So I've been playing games for quite a long time. Like I said, first-person shooters are my affinity. I like MMOs. I like some single-player games, but they're not really big on them because I feel like I get bored a lot. Witcher 3 was really fun, the first playthrough. And everyone's like, oh, it's good for 2. And I'm like, I know where everything's at now. It's kind of boring. But really exciting if you like some single-player games. Borderlands 3 is about to come out.
I haven't really gotten into Borderlands.
Never played it, but I have somebody that said on my stream said they're going to buy it for me to allow me to play.
I think there's like really not any games coming out right now that I'm that interested in because last year really took a toll on me. It was like, for me, it was like God of War.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption, like all of them came out in a row. So it was just
you have so much to play with there.
Right.
I feel you.
And then so this year, I got Sekiro. It's like the people that make Dark Souls.
Yeah, they made that. That's about the samurai, right?
Right.
I heard that was really good.
It's so hard. It's like punishingly hard. Like, it's even harder than Dark Souls, honestly.
I mean, they were so actually, speaking of Sekiro, did you hear that is it the guy that's making that makes the Dark Souls series, did he get commissioned to do another series? But I think he's getting George R.R. Martin to assist with the scenery and things like that. So I'm super excited about that because, like, why do you bring in this guy? Oh, for fantasy. So I turn off the fan. That's fine. So that's really cool. Halo 5 is about to come out. Halo is one of my biggest games. I played Halo Tournament, so that's exciting that's coming out. But as for right now, it's mostly Apex, streaming, and I'm super excited to see where this goes. I just got my merch store available, and we have, like I said, we have a bunch of dedicated followers that hop in, and I'm working on a bunch of other stuff. But as for games, man, I'm really enjoying World of Warcraft. I don't stream it very much, but I'm a WoW addict secretly. So I played World of Warcraft for like 13 years straight, and then I quit. So
did you ever play? So you had a Super Nintendo?
Yes.
So did you ever play? This is like my one game that I have like the biggest grudge with because I love it so much, but I've never been able to beat it. Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
I did not play Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
That's like my one.
Is that
like,
your one that you hate?
Yeah, because like so it's a it's a two-dimensional side, and you're shooting the little spears.
Right. I've seen it. I've seen it. I haven't played it.
Okay, well, like it punishes you. It like makes you. It's like the Dark Souls series. It's like for a Super Nintendo game, it makes you remember where every person is that's going to attack you.
You have to remember the exact...
You have to know what move they're going to do on you. You have to like, you know what I mean? Like, and then you have to be able to, like when you're jumping off cliffs and stuff, you have to jump from that spot or you're dead, you know, like and stuff like that.
I literally feel like I want to record you playing this game.
Dude, it is so fun, but it just punishes you. But anyways, you get all the way, when you start each area, it'll show you a map of like how far you are in the game,
right?
And then it shows you the end. So like it'll say like section 1, and it'll have like a forest area, and then your level that you're in is like a forest area,
right?
And then at the end of the level, you start pushing into like water, and then it shows on the map you're in area 2. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you see that every time you start. You see that like so after you die, it's like, oh, there I am. Oh, there I am. And then for hours and hours, you finally get to the end. And then it says, you must find the secret weapon. That's the only weapon that you can defeat the bad guy with. So we will send you to the beginning of the game. Oh. And you have to locate this weapon. Right?
Oh, man.
So you're like, oh, okay.
Okay. Let me play this game all over again.
Right. So as an adult, whenever I was on tour, one of my buddies had a Super Nintendo emulator. And I said,
give me that.
This shit's ending tonight.
I'm going to win it. I'm going to beat it.
So I played all through the night, beat it the first time, got all the way through it the second time. But on the very last stage, before the ending, there's these guys that swoop down real fast. And the weapon that you find that's special and will help you beat the game only shoots straight out in front of you. And it only goes out an inch and comes back. So I couldn't make it past the swoopy guys. So
you've never beat it.
So I've never beaten it.
Oh, that's frustrating. That's that's super irritating. Yeah, I can feel your pain.
But it's love-hate. You know what I mean? It's
no,
like,
is that your favorite game of all time?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know why Super Nintendo games seem to be people's favorite games of all time.
It's because they perfected their entire thing by that point. For regular Nintendo, they made the IPs. And then Super Nintendo, they perfected them.
Yeah.
After that.
My favorite game of all time probably is A Link to the Past.
I love that game too.
It's like my favorite. Like
that and Super Metroid.
Yes, and Super Metroid was good too.
And Super Punch-Out.
Oh, Super Punch-Out. Which version though? They were so good.
The Super one.
The Super one, yeah.
The brothers as the ending. The bald brothers.
Yes. Yeah. Mike Tyson's was good too.
That one was good.
It was good.
Definitely.
But I do think like Donkey Kong Country, the original, was fantastic.
Right.
So it was great. It was like the best 2-player game ever.
Yeah, Super Nintendo. It was when simple games
were the best.
Could be complicated and hard. You know what I mean?
It was fun.
Yeah.
So, but no, I agree with you 100%. But A Link to the Past.
Link to the Past was my shit too.
Yeah, mine too.
I just loved that they gave you the whole layout of the world.
Yes.
But then you had to go Dark World, and it was the layout as Dark World. You know
so, so everything's changed. Yeah. It was good, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's still one piece of heart that I never figured out how to get.
What's that?
One of the pieces of heart, it was over in the desert section. And it was on top of a cliff, and I just like gave up on getting it every time. And then now that I'm an adult,
was it the area where you had to like read the book to get into the castle?
Yeah, I think so. And then it's on top of like a cliff that doesn't look like you can get up there in any form or fashion. You like had to fall from somewhere to get on it. And it's just like, I'm not even going to bother with this.
Right. Or you might have had to go Dark World, Light World to stand in the right spot and then go Switch World.
Possibly, but I gave up on that piece. It frustrated me so bad.
I think I did find that piece, but there was other ones I couldn't find.
Yeah, there were some. There was a bunch that I found. How did I stumble across this?
Yeah.
Oops.
That was like one of the first open world random shit games.
Yeah, and that's why it was fun.
Where you're just like, I fell down a well. Now I'm in a secret cave.
Yeah, but the best part about that entire game was the chickens.
Oh yeah.
You get the chickens to attack you.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for what's coming. I don't know if you saw any of the information that they've been releasing on games that are coming out or things like that. A couple of the bigger development companies have been coming out with information saying that we're going to get some new massive open world games. I'm trying to think of who it was, but because none of us like Activision or EA because they like to ruin games for us. Mini transactions suck.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
Well, it's because a lot of these mini transactions are game breakers. Like we were saying earlier, hard games are hard games because we want them to be. I don't want someone to be able to pay to be the same spot as me. It's stupid. It's not what we want. In fact, the one thing that we had an issue with Apex Legends is they were trying to charge us for cosmetics like $8 for a cosmetic. And I don't mind paying $8 for one, but it's a chance to get what you want. It's not actually what you want. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Well, another thing that I've grown up playing my whole life is like fighting games.
Right.
So I'm like a big Mortal Kombat.
And the new one just came out.
Yeah, the new one. I enjoy it a lot, but a lot of people are complaining about the the DLC, or not the DLC, the microtransactions for that. And I was like, well,
you don't have to buy them.
You should grind. That's what most good games you have to grind anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're playing Mortal Kombat, you're just fighting over and over and over. So they're probably going to expect you to grind on the fighting every once in a while.
Right.
Given I did watch someone play for like hours and hours and then only get like this much loot from all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I get it. But I still wouldn't break out my wallet.
Yeah, so I think the biggest issue that you have with the microtransactions is some microtransactions give you an advantage versus others. The ones that don't give you an advantage,
right?
It's all breaking out your wallet if you want something, which is exactly what Apex did. It was a microtransaction for looks, not anything that was game breaking, which is fine.
Right.
But I think that these ones that break the game.
Yeah.
That are like, oh, if you buy this, it can give you this extra weapon. And I think that's what ruins games.
Right.
So it's all one of those things. And we get into those controversies on stream all the time. People are like, hey, do you agree with this? And I'm like, no. Or do you agree with this? And I'm like, I don't see a problem with it. So it's all opinions.
Right. So what do you think about the games? Do you support any of the like games that they push out super fast, but then they tell you already the DLC's coming?
No, I hate DLC. And the reason I hate DLC is because I remember a day and age where, okay, so let's just like roll it back to where actual DLC was basically another game. That's what I liked about DLC. Old school DLC, you bought a game for $60, right? I go pay $60
and it was
give it to
game.
Me. The game. It's the entire game, nothing extra, unless the developers were like, hey, we're going to add this little bitty thing, but it's free. Mm-hmm. Perfect example of that was Guild Wars. And I played Guild Wars. It was an MMO online, and I loved it. Guild Wars was a MMO that you played, and you had to grind. And they released a little bit of DLC, download free DLC, not a big expansion DLC.
Right.
And that's what we used to call DLC, was expansions.
Yeah.
But free DLC was this little thing to tide you over until the expansion came out. And the expansion cost you money. Right? But the thing that Guild Wars did that I really liked is even if you didn't buy the DLC, you could play the expansion. You just couldn't open up the new character classes or races. Oh. So the thing about it was you could play the game even without buying the DLC. But if you wanted to unlock all these new things, you had to buy the DLC. So they basically made it where it didn't break the game if you didn't buy the DLC. But it also didn't make the game if you bought the...
Like you could go into Disney World, but you can't ride the rides.
Right. That's kind of like what it's like. But it was nice because basically they said, we're not ostracizing these people that can't afford it. We're still allowing you to play the new content. You just can't play the new content with all the cool new little features. So it was like it was what I wish games would do now. So a lot of these games that release DLC, like Destiny, for example. Destiny was a good game. I played it for a little bit. But to be able to do the next mission, you had to buy the DLC. But I wish that you could play it but not get the new gear or something like that. Because it kind of makes people turned off. And if you play it, like let's say that I don't buy the Destiny DLC. If I go in and play it and all these guys got this cool looking stuff and it's better gear and they're obviously doing more damage, I want it. I'm going to go buy it.
Yeah.
But you're not tempting anybody by saying you have to buy it. Like I wish they would tempt people by saying, here's what it looks like. Here's what you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let these people run around you with all this cool new stuff and you're going to want it. Like people's advertising now in games is just buy this or you don't get it. And I'm just like, go away. I'll go back to playing my Super Nintendo game. All right, buddy.
Yeah. I remember playing a Dark Souls game, one of those games. There was DLC, and they they were kind of doing it better than everyone else too, is because like you play the whole game, and then they were like, DLC coming next month, and you're like, okay, what's up? And it's a whole another area.
Right.
And then you revisit a spot that you right in the middle of your normal game that opens a gate to explore this new DLC area. So it's like integrated into the story somewhat.
Right. And
then you just explore this whole new area that's like, its own game, a whole other game. And but the disadvantage with it being a Dark Souls game is like
you're still gonna die a million times.
It was harder. That's what
it's meant to be.
It's like I remember like waiting for that DLC and then like get it and then make it to the second little section of the DLC and being like, I'm never gonna play this again because it's so fucking hard and they expect me to like level up. So I'm like I've been there. I've been leveling up all month, so I didn't want to finish even now.
No, I think these gaming companies that are coming out, you have a couple that understand what gamers are looking for, and you have a couple that don't understand that it is a money. I understand it's about money. Right. I understand just like obviously with all the Marvel and everything like that, it's about money. But there's still a way to appease everybody. There's so many ways that they could find a way to make money while still taking care of the community. Because the biggest problem, and EA has this problem right now, is EA's turned a lot of people off of their games because it's all about microtransactions. Perfect example is, I don't know if you've played any Madden or NBA 2K or any of those.
I mean, I've played them in the past,
well, in the career modes, I believe it's career modes. Don't quote me on this because I don't play a lot of it. You have to buy packs to get better players to put them in it. Now you can earn packs too, but obviously these people who have spent $500 or $600 are going to have better players than you are. It's like playing Magic the Gathering. You ever played that? You had to spend crap tons of money to be able to get anywhere in Magic. If you don't have money to have a good deck, you weren't going to be good. That's just how it was.
Right.
You had that one guy randomly who's like the guy that's been sitting at the Magic table forever. And he's like, I've got a deck that's $5 and I'm going to beat you. And he probably does because he's way better than you. But the point is if you have a good deck, you can usually win.
Right. That's what she said.
Oh, that's great. But I think that games need to change. I think that if they want to target their target audience, which I understand a lot are little kids now, but these adults, just like we were with all our comic books and stuff, we have things that we liked a certain way, and we're still your main audience. We're your people that are going to spend money on something.
And like, I always end up going back and thinking like times have changed, and like we live in this harsh reality where it's like, us as the consumer, us as the nerds, us as the people that want all this stuff, we just can't get what we want because it's all about money. You know what I mean?
It is.
And it's like, and just like Spider-Man, it's like we can't, like it's like they know what we want. They know we want Spider-Man to be an Avenger, but money says that they should be greedy. Money says that they should, this is our IP. It's not yours anymore, Marvel, So
there is a project, speaking of money, that I'm super excited about. Do you like Lord of the Rings?
I do.
Okay, so cool project that's coming out. It's an MMO. Amazon bought the rights to make a Lord of the Rings MMO. Okay. And instead of them just doing whatever they wanted, they went in and they hired original WoW developers, and they took veterans from MMOs and they brought them in. veterans, people that have been playing MMOs for
Nice.
years, and they're building a Lord of the Rings multiplayer online. Now, I can't say that it's going to be good, but
Right.
when Amazon says that they're not putting their 2 cents into it and they're hiring these people that are veterans and that were part of a productive game,
Right.
I mean, WoW's been alive for 15 years now, and it's still alive.
Uh-huh.
It's still played massively, and it just got a huge boost with Vanilla. I'm excited to see what Amazon does because I'm sorry, whatever Amazon's touched recently has kind of gone to gold.
The Boys.
So,
Did you watch
oh my
that?
God, that was such a good show. Side tangent. I want more. I'm so sad that show ended.
You know that they already started filming season 2.
Yeah, before it even like released. That was
Right.
like what was the other TV show that released on? The movie Bright.
Bright. Yeah,
They started filming it because the day one that it hit, it had like 2 million watches.
Right.
So they were like, "Oh, we need to film this already."
Right.
But that's what I want games to go back to. I want a game where, like, I hate it. Don't get me wrong. I hate queue times to play or something like that. But World of Warcraft, the server I was trying to get on, had 20,000 people in line to play.
Yeah.
That was just one server. All of the servers had a 20,000 queue time.
I'm going to go back to some,
Okay, go ahead.
because if the people that know me are going to be like, wait, he just asked him if he likes Lord of the Rings, and he said yes. Like, okay, I do like Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
But when those movies came out, I had never read the books or anything.
Okay.
So my expectation versus what happened
Right.
didn't line up. So I was a little frustrated in the end when I was like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I get you.
I get it, guys. I was guilty of being that toxic person at the time that just my expectations overthrew the whole thing. And you know what? It sounds stupid, but in my mind, Sauron was gonna come back, and he was gonna like manifest, and then we were gonna have to do something to finish him off.
I think that comes from, and side tangent, obviously, I think that comes from the fact that I know that you like to write stories too.
Right.
And when a story doesn't make sense to us,
Right.
it's like, this is dumb. Like, I'll watch a movie with
Right.
my family and stuff, and I'm like, this ended really dumb. And I'm like, why didn't this get used or this get used? Like, why would this even be here if it, but that's just because that's how we are. So I understand because I read the books.
Well, you know, my writing style has been fueled by comic books
Right.
my whole life. So it's like my
all villains come back.
Yeah. Every story in my mind is like, in that scenario is like, we don't succeed at first, but because we need to level up the story, you know what I
Right.
mean? So I was just like, oh, they're gonna make it all the way there, and then Sauron is gonna like find a physical form, and then they're gonna have to fucking do something to
You're gonna have to
get
fight
rid of
him. Let's go. Yeah. No, I feel you.
And then they, when it finally fell into the lava, I was like, okay, this is more old school story than I realized.
Right. Yeah.
So,
But like I said, I enjoyed it. But like I did read the books, so I was
do
frustrated.
enjoy like the world. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the world is great.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to see what they do with that game because we don't really know a timeline when they're putting it in place or anything like that. It could be prior to the One Ring. It could be, it could be anywhere in there. So we'll see.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
No, I have not watched Black Mirror. They were watching it at the house, and I kind of didn't watch it. So I watched some of them, I guess you could say.
There was So I'm just gonna tell you one of the new. This was really funny to me. I thought it was a good episode for the concept, but there is an episode called Fighting Vipers, and it's about a fighting game, right?
Oh, okay. I'm trying to see if I remember because I know I've seen some of them. I've seen a couple because usually they're watching TV when I'm like coming off of my stream or something. So I go to bed and there's like
Right.
half an episode of something.
Yeah. So it's an episode where like Anthony Mackie, do you know who that is? He's the Falcon.
no.
He's Falcon.
Oh, okay.
In the Avengers.
Yes.
So it's like he's the star of the episode, and he's like he has a best friend.
Oh, yes, I have seen that episode.
Yeah, and then they start playing the fighting game together, and they end up hooking up in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I was like, the concept for this episode is amazing, but then I was like, a lot of like masculine dudes are gonna hate this episode though.
Yeah,
So-
but I mean, no, the concept for the concept for that episode when I watched it was this mental where when people are in a different world, they think differently.
Right.
Which is what, back to games, which is what I love about games in particular. I like to play tabletop D&D too. So, I think that a lot of people don't realize that when you're in a game, you're meant to be in a different world.
Mm-hmm.
And so in Black Mirror, they're in a different world. So their mindsets change.
Right.
And I think that's where they eventually want us to get with gaming for real. So if you watch Ender's Game, is it Ender's Game? Or is it
the one,
the movie?
Where they trick him into...
Not Ender's Game. No, what's the... crap. The one that has all the games in it. It's not Ender's Game. It's the movie just came out like 2 years ago.
Oh, you mean Ready Player One?
Ready Player One. Sorry, I have the book at home. I can think of it. All I can think of is Ender's Game because Ender's Game is another game simulation.
Right.
All these movies are basically meant to teach you that you have a different mindset when you think you're in a game.
Right.
And I think that Ready Player One was that way too. Ender's Game was that way as well because they made them think that they were part of a simulation,
right.
and it changed the way that they thought. They sacrificed
right.
people. But games are meant to change our perspective, and I think that in Black Mirror, that episode, it changes people's perspective. And there's another. Have you seen the episode where he's in a Star Trek captain?
Oh, yeah.
He's in a different reality.
Right.
And it's meant to change the perspective of the way you think. Mm-hmm. And when you actually think about it, if you ever get someone into an RP game, you can actually see what type of person they are when they're not scared or they're not bound by society.
Right. Well, and it also, relates back to just the internet in general. You know what I mean? Like just people pretend to be other people, when they're online. They could show you a different picture, they could act a different way. You know what I mean? Like and it's like it's creepy in a sense.
Right.
But when it's supposed to be for entertainment. You know what I mean?
It is. It's supposed to be for entertainment, but eventually it might not be. We don't know.
Right. Right. Because, like Ready Player One, I could be a guy named Chuck in a basement, like Harry jerking it.
Yeah, but that's what it's meant to be. And like I said, I did like that episode of Black Mirror. I know a lot of people probably didn't like it because it was really weird. They're like, I'm watching this weird stuff.
Yeah,
but I liked it because to me, it's basically like people that people do this all the time. I don't know if you've ever played tabletop D&D. You ever played?
I've seen it played.
Okay, so people, if you haven't seen it played, I'm gonna do this shout out.
Okay, go ahead.
Harmon Quest. If you ever get a chance to go watch Harmon Quest, it is great. The guy that made Rick and Morty,
right.
Dan Harmon, he does a live tabletop RPG where what they do is they go in and edit afterwards and they put animations in it and they bring in comedians. They bring in a random celebrity star, and there's a bunch of great celebrity stars in there. Nathan Fillion's in one of them, and he's one of my favorite actors. So if you haven't seen what is it? Not Firefly, but the TV show. What's the TV show of Firefly? It's Firefly. No, the movie is the movie's called Serenity. The TV show is called Firefly. Okay, my bad. Right. But he's in that. He's one of my favorites. But they play tabletop D&D, but it shows you that people act out of character when they're not being judged.
Right.
And in that, dude, you should go watch it because there's one episode, I cannot remember the comedian's name, but he convinces Dan Harmon's character to give him a hand job and pay him for it. So it's great. But if you've ever had a chance to play D&D, all these masculine, like straight guys that like, I'm straight, they'll play a chick and then they'll go seduce someone, and I'm like, what are you doing there? Like, are you but people don't understand that it's an RP game. Like the whole point is to expand your horizons and
be yourself.
Not be yourself. You're supposed to be someone different. Yeah. And I think in a lot of games they try to get us to think like that. The Witcher was one of those good games where you get to decide, am I going to be this person or this person? And I like those old school games where you have to pick a storyline. It's like choose your own adventure books.
Right.
You go through them and you pick your own adventure. And sometimes you end up being the bad guy or the good guy, but you don't know which one you are till the end.
So my old band, IWRESTLEDABEARONCE, we did a choose your own adventure video at one point in time. And I've, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like we were far ahead of a lot of people. And it was like one of those scenarios where we literally did a choose your own adventure video and no one watched it because it was like too ahead of its time. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So we filmed so many scenarios that and then once it was online, you could seriously click what you want to do next. So whatever was happening in the story, we'd be like, do you want to go with them or do you want to go with us? And so, what
right. I mean? That's good.
So
I like it.
There's actually, the whole video was about how there was a psycho fan and he stole the VHS tape for our new video. Right. And he also kidnapped our guitarist.
Right.
So he had him tied up and he was like, come and he's like supposed to be super nerdy dude. And he's like, come and get your guitar player, and I have your video, So then it was like about the rest of the people 2 and 2, what we needed to do to find him and whatever. So you could go with this group, or you could go with this group. But then we ran in. So then also both sides have like different scenarios once we run into obstacles. But if you choose the right adventure, you will go with me and Mikey, my drummer, and then you choose again when we run into a group of juggalos, and you could choose to go with the juggalos. Then you could find me dressed as a juggalo doing a rap song.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's fun.
Yeah. So I was like pretty into, like just anything like that.
Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun when you take something like that and you turn it into a exciting, fun situation versus when you sit there and you just like, oh, let me do this. And it's, I don't know. Yeah. It's choose your own adventure is fun. And can you imagine if they made a choose your own adventure movie? Like if the movie would have to have like...
Actually, they did.
Did they?
The newest Black Mirror movie they put out was a choose your own adventure, and it came with a lot of different scenarios.
Oh, see, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and there's definitely some weird ones. Like there was a point. It was about a crazy guy who was doing a choose your own adventure game, and it was supposed to be in the 80s, so it was like ahead of its time. And then this kid who was like good at writing got chosen to take over the project or something like that for the choose your own adventure, but the original guy went crazy doing it and started seeing all these symbols. So then you're placed in that same scenario where you're trying to finish his game and you start seeing weird shit. But there's one scenario where you could just pick to kill someone. That's just like a random part of the story. It's like you're talking to his dad or something, and it's like, and one of the options is like kill him. And you're like, whoa, this is weird. So, obviously you select it. Yeah. And he's just like beats him to death, like, and blood everywhere. And you're just like, and then he gets like sent to an asylum or something. And you're like, and then it restarts you because obviously that's the wrong choice.
But you still choose it because you're just like, I got to see what happens.
Right. Yeah. I actually have, and, I'm going to say this on here since we're talking about games, but I have this big thing, and no one's allowed to steal this.
Go ahead.
But I wrote a book, and I'm still trying to get things worked out to where I could maybe get an agent or something.
Right.
I'm just sitting on it, because it's like that important to me to not just like hand it out to anyone. You know what I mean? Like as much as I do want to hand it out to my friends or whatever. But anyways, it is about a guy who wakes up. And he's like somebody tried to kill him, and then he finds out he's in 1885, and then he finds out he's a creator, he's a scientist, and he has created time travel. Mm-hmm. So as I wrote the story, I was like, and then I was also playing Red Dead Redemption. I was like, how cool would it be to have a story about a man who has created time travel, and there's a lot of people looking for him. So imagine a game where you're like traveling through time that's set up on a map that's like a GTA map, sized map.
Okay.
But when you travel to different times, it's the same map, but underdeveloped comparatively to what year it is. So you could be like, you're in the West. You start off in the West because this is where he starts in the book, and he's figuring out what's happening. So you like can ride a horse around, you go to different bars, or like different missions, and then you find your time machine, and then it takes you to like the 60s. Now you're on the same map, but there's like 60s style buildings.
Does this guy know that he's running from the government?
It's hard to explain how it would all fit together
without giving away all your stuff. Yeah, okay. No, I got you. I get you. Yeah. Because there's just so many ideas that gives me like for a game. It's like if you know you're running, then you could start to try to pick which time you're going to.
Well, this is the problem this is the plot device of the story is the machine is broken, so it only takes him to certain times. But it's like a TARDIS. But those times that he ends up going to give him other pieces of the puzzle.
It's like a TARDIS. The TARDIS, Doctor Who, the TARDIS always takes you to where you need to go, not to. Okay, yeah. It always takes you to where you need to go, not where you want to go.
Exactly.
So
and I was like, dude, can you imagine an open world game where you eventually find out, you know, what's going on, but anything that you might do in the past would affect the other timelines. Like, so you could like kill someone, you know, like you could have an optional character,
right?
You could either kill him or let him live. You know what I mean? But then when you travel to the next timeline, his ancestor is around or not around. You know what I mean? And like, so it affects the game to where you have like a villain if you let him live because his family is still alive, or you could kill him and then that villain's gone. You know what I mean? And stuff like that.
I think that the Witcher is a prime example of exactly the type of game that you're talking about. It's just not as technologically advanced, because The Witcher works kind of like that too. You get to decide whether you're going to kill or help this person, and in the end they help you or not. But what I think that's really cool about yours is I think that using that technological advancement, jumping back and forth, you'd also have to be very careful. Like, could you imagine, like, let's just say that you have a choice to kill this guy, but what are you going to kill him with? This advanced gun?
Yeah.
And ruin, like, the future?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things that could change things.
Right.
So, but I think on top of that, as well as, I think the one thing that you'd run into is the same thing a lot of people ran into with The Witcher is once it's been out for a while, if you look up how to beat something, it tells you the best choice to take. And you don't want that. You want people to make their own decisions. So that's one of those games that people like single player that like Fallout and things like that would really enjoy. And I think it'd be really big with them. And I think you'd have a mass following, like a cult following in a situation like that. It'd be really good.
And then, you know, like you could do funny things like if once you fix your time machine and you can use it freely, you could, if you know the date you need to go to complete the game, you could just go straight there.
Right.
Because you have the time machine and it's fixed.
Right.
But in the initial story, you would still have to figure a lot of stuff out. But if you're in your second playthrough, you could just be like, I'm going to the ending. Yeah,
but what you could also do a situation in there is, you could go straight to the story and do that. But The Witcher had something in it that was awesome. Is when you fought this one group, and no matter what happened, how many people you had to help you, it was just easier or harder. But if you had to have, like, let's say that you didn't help this one guy and he joins the bad guy, and now at the end of the story, if you don't have the correct amount of help, you're screwed.
Right.
So regardless if you know when the date is, you still have to go build.
You have to like get friends.
Yes.
Get help.
Get help. I need help.
Right.
So that would be really fun. I think that your book probably has a lot of things in there that you could probably use in that category. But no, I feel where you're coming from. I like it. It's fun. It'd be really good to get under someone's hands after you have the book published to try to turn it into a game.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I tried to was trying to write a board game scenario like Dungeons and Dragons with a guy one time, and we actually got pretty far with it. And then he just quit the project. And I was just like, all right, man, I don't understand why you do that. Right. So turn around and one of his friends decided he was going to write one and he sold it. So I was like, yeah, you quit a project and the guy that was working on this with you goes and makes his own and sells it. I was like, so your project would have been successful. So yeah, I feel you on that. And for those of all of you from Filthee Gaming that come over and watch this podcast, Mike does a whole bunch of great stuff with movies, comics, and any nerd type stuff. And I'm sure he's not opposed to making suggestions in the comments of what to talk about, things like that. I'm sure he'd be really excited to speak on other people's interests and things like that. It has to do with nerds. Mike probably does his research too. So if you want to talk about something that he doesn't know a lot about, he'll find someone or probably do it himself, I'm sure. Yeah. But all in all, really excited to be a part of this, man. And I appreciate you, and much love from Filthee Gaming.
Thank you. Well, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
You're good at speeches, dude.
Not good at speeches. I just talk to people live every day, so I have to know.
Right. I mean, obviously, I started this thing in like April, and I was like,
hey,
when I first started.
If you watch your first video and my first video, I'm pretty sure we're both the same, because I was like, hi, and welcome to the stream. And now I'm like, hi, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being here. Please remember to drop that like, share, follow. Like, that's what I do.
I think that once you finally realize that you have to like make an invisible presence in the room and just talk at them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, so instead of going, what is this person thinking about me right now? You're like, no, I'm just going to keep talking to this invisible person, whether I'm getting input or not.
On a side note, you have to realize that regardless of who's watching, you're good enough to be here. You're already here. You're good enough to be here, and you're worth somebody's time. Regardless if that person says you're not worth my time or not, they watched you long enough to realize that you're worth their time, and they can suck it. But guys, remember, if you haven't yet, go subscribe. to Mike. Give him that subscribe. We'll be doing some more stuff. Hopefully I can get another invitation back after this. Hopefully we can do that. We'll do some other stuff.
Yeah, I would. I would love to be a part of the stream sometime. Or
oh heck
like
yeah, man!
That
that'd be awesome to get you in there. So we can plan a day. I can pull you over there to do that.
I'm definitely bad at first-person shooters.
Yeah, but what do you play Dark Souls on?
PS4.
Oh well, crap! But you could always bring the PS4 over and we could hook it up, man. Everybody could watch. I don't know. We'll figure something out for sure. People don't understand. Crap! I can't. His name's Joe. What's his name? He's married to Sophia, whatever her name is. Anyways, he was and I know this is gonna sound really weird that I know this, but he's the guy that does the convenience store scene in Magic Mike.
Okay.
Anyways, Joe Magarelli or some stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So he married Sophia, whatever her name is, and she's a gorgeous woman. He had a wine cellar in his house that he bought with her, and he turned it into an entire D&D like lounge like place. Right. And the thing is people don't realize that everybody's a nerd. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're I have a friend who's the biggest jock guy in the world, and he's over here fucking playing Apex every day. He's I'm gonna play some games. I'm like, you're a nerd too. Just get over it.
Even the people that think nerd culture is dumb and they want to talk shit about it, there is something in your life that nerdy. You are so into that you might be embarrassed to share it with everyone. Whether you're a chick that's just oh shit, look at these shoes, man. There's someone else that's gonna be like, you're a fucking nerd because you like those shoes. She's so much. These
threads are 1,000 silk count threads. No, yeah, I know, I agree. Right. But that jock guy is really funny because he had never watched an anime before, and I like anime. Yeah. And I got him to watch 7 Deadly Sins, and then I got him to watch My Hero Academia, and I went to Anime Fest 2 weeks ago, and I brought him back a Todoroki statue, and he was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And I'm like, oh, I've converted you. Yeah,
everyone.
That's what you want to do. You want to convert everybody. But it's just who we're nerds with. Right. And I think that the people that are willing to be nerds are like, I don't care what you're obsessed with, but we're cool together. Right. Anyways, but remember to hit that subscribe button, guys. Is it below? Is it the link below? The link below. I don't know where it's at on the YouTube channel.
I think it's up.
Is it up? It's the little bell, right?
Well, there's you could do a strip.
So guys, in one of these directions, click the little subscribe button. That's what we want to do.
All right. Well, yeah. Give us a like. Give us a comment. Ask me some things. Give me some subjects that you would like to see me cover. Yeah, for sure, guys. Appreciate you being here with us today. All right. And thank you, Mike. And thank you. Of course. And you're welcome to come back. We're also going to do another video. So, let's do that. So, Star Wars video. Okay. When this video comes out, it will be coming out soon. Okay. All right. I'll see you later, nerds.